January 9th, 2022. Across the globe, analysts watched their screens in stunned silence. The internet of North Korea, a nation that rarely speaks to the outside world, suddenly vanished. Government websites blinked offline without warning. Was this the start of a new cyber war? A calculated strike by a global power like the US Cyber Command? Or a warning shot in retaliation for Kim Jong-un's latest missile tests? Experts immediately suspected a massive state-sponsored cyber attack. But the truth was far more unbelievable. The perpetrator wasn't a nation's cyber army at all. It was a single, anonymous hacker in his pajamas, fueled by a deeply personal grudge. To understand why, we have to go back 1 year earlier. In January 2021, an American cybersecurity researcher, known only by his handle, P4X, was sitting at his desk scrolling through code. Late one night, he received a message from another researcher offering a new hacking tool. Curious, P4X opened the file in a secure virtual machine. Nothing obvious happened, but his stomach dropped when he realized what he was looking at. The file hid a back door, a secret doorway for intruders. North Korean spies had tried to hack him. He soon learned he wasn't alone. It was part of a broad campaign by North Korean operatives to steal hacking tools and vulnerability research from experts like him. In other words, Pyongyang's hackers were hunting the hunters. P4X expected the US government to swoop in. Being attacked by foreign cyber spies felt like an act of war on a private citizen. An FBI agent did reach out, but only to take a statement. There was no follow-up, no help securing his systems, no retaliation against the perpetrators. Weeks passed, then months. Silence. P4X felt abandoned. There's really nobody on our side, he concluded bitterly. Here he was, a top-tier hacker exposed to a nation's spies, and no one would protect him. That's when a seed of resentment took root. North Korea had struck him in secret and gotten away with it, but P4X wasn't the forgiving type. By the end of 2021, his mind was made up. If the authorities wouldn't avenge this breach, he would. The idea seemed crazy. A one-man counterattack against the most isolated regime on Earth. But as P4X began gathering intelligence, he discovered something amazing. North Korea's internet presence is tiny and fragile. It was a digital house of cards, propped up by aging software and sloppy security. Night after night, he scoured their systems. He found known flaws that North Korean admins never bothered to patch. Old versions of Apache and an outdated Nginx web server bug that could collapse the system if you simply sent it a weird header. To P4X, it was like North Korea had left its front gates wide open. It's pretty interesting how easy it was to actually have some effect in there, he noted. He wrote custom scripts to automate the attacks, a denial of service designed with surgical precision. He adopted the pseudonym P4X, pronounced Pax, a cheeky nod to enforcing peace through punishment. By early 2022, the plan was ready. In a quiet Miami home, likely wearing his uniform of a t-shirt, pajama pants and slippers, P4X sat at his computer. His heart pounded with adrenaline and defiance. With a few keystrokes, the packets started flying. The code was running. But P4X had to wonder, would this actually work, or would it blow up in his face? At first, it felt anticlimactic. To pass the time, P4X queued up an alien movie on TV and munched on spicy corn chips, trying to act normal. But every few minutes, he paused the movie to check his progress. Each time, the news got better. One by one, North Korean servers stopped responding. He pinged the target's Air Koryo's booking site. Down. Nenara, the official web portal. Down. The state news site. Down. He checked Pingdom, an independent monitoring service. The charts for North Korea showed a sea of red outages everywhere. Inside the secretive nation, officials suddenly found their external emails and web access cut off. An entire nation's online presence had been felled by a lone hacker at his keyboard. The next morning, the world noticed. News of the outage spread quietly among intelligence communities. Speculation ran rampant. Was this a punitive strike by a world power? North Korea remained silent. Inside the country, few citizens even realized the internet was down, as less than 1% have access to the global web. But for P4X, watching from behind his keyboard, the confusion was part of the satisfaction. He had proven that even a fortress regime could bleed in cyberspace. But P4X decided he wasn't done yet. I definitely wanted to affect the government as much as possible and the people as little as possible, he said. Flushed with success, he realized his one-man operation could become something bigger. He planned to go beyond just shutting down websites. Next on his list, breaching systems, digging up secrets, and exposing sensitive data. He even launched a covert site on the dark web called the Funk Project, short for FU North Korea. It was a recruiting call for a vigilante cyber army. Not everyone applauded. Some security researchers worried that P4X's noisy attacks might interfere with quiet, classified espionage operations run by Western intelligence. And then there is the law. P4X knows that the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act doesn't have a vigilante exception. By all rights, he is risking prison. Yet he remains unafraid. My conscience is clear, he says. For P4X, exposing the regime's weakness was worth the risk. His goal was to shame US authorities into finally recognizing the threat and protecting individuals like him. So far, no law enforcement has knocked on his door. North Korea still hasn't figured out who he is. The first shots of this one-man cyber war have been fired, and P4X stands unpunished, unidentified, and unbowed. One man in pajamas brought an entire regime to its knees. But while P4X fights for revenge, others on the dark web are fighting for profit. What happens when thousands of criminals don't just take down websites, but sell your identity like a product?